When you report the score publicly and you tell people what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve, they're much more inclined to want to be part of that something special. So I had this conversation the other day with a guy who I used to work with, and we were talking about his targets and his goals and what he was trying to achieve. And what struck me as interesting was that as close as he was to hitting his objectives, he failed to ask his people, right? He failed to actually, put forth the numbers. When you report the score publicly and you tell people what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve, they're much more inclined to want to be part of that something special. And, a great failure in leaders is when they feel like they're placing a burden on others by not sharing what the goal is, right? Not only should you share the goal, you should share in the spoils of the goal, and you should be willing to ask. When you give and 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 you bring value over and over and over again, it's okay to ask. Not only is it okay to ask, it's preferable to ask. It's the difference oftentimes between teams that win and teams that just fall short. And if you have perpetually been in a situation where your company is falling short, your business is falling short, your division is falling up short, right? You're just missing that target over and over and over again, there's an opportunity in that, right? I always used to say that winners don't become losers overnight and losers don't become winners overnight. But I'll tell you, when you're coming up just short, the difference a lot of times is getting other people involved. And that comes down to asking. If you are willing to ask your people to go the extra mile for that goal and objective, if you've done everything right, if you've put in the energy and the effort and the commitment and the generosity and the time and really the love and passion into your people, you've got to ask. You've got to be willing to say, this is what I need from you. Can I count on you? And when you do that, you'll be surprised at how many people want to be part of it. In the absence of leadership, leaders always step up, right? In the absence of a perfect, flawless plan, which there never is one, people will step up with extra effort and they'll go the extra mile and they'll exceed your expectations. And that sometimes is the difference between crossing the finish line or missing, right? Just coming up short. And that's everything, right? Financially, it's huge, particularly when you're on a 13-week cycle. Right? When you're every quarter, you got to deliver to your investors, or you got to deliver to your shareholders, or you got to deliver, to your boss. Failing to do it is just going to put you at a deficit, right? And you're going to feel miserable. This perpetuation of missing, like just coming up short, you'd rather blow it. Look, if you're not going to put forth any effort, right? If you're going to miss a target completely, then miss it. Don't spend any energy or time. But to exhaust yourself, right? To exhaust yourself and then to come up short by like this much, like that just means that you lost the edge, right? Like you could have done something differently along the way, right? And it's a travesty, to be perceived in the universe that way. Right? The difference is a little bit more effort. We talked about the eye of the tiger a couple weeks ago, but the difference between crossing the finish line and coming up short a lot of times is just asking. Right? You got to ask your people. You got to communicate what the score is, what the goals are, and let them own a piece of it, right? And also let them own in the spoils. Reward them for it. See, a lot of times people reward people that, inside of an organization, and they even though they miss their targets, it's not the way it works, right? No one gets rewarded unless we all get rewarded.